Have you ever wondered what goes on behind the table at a dance competition? Exactly what are the judges looking for anyway? This is Making the Impact, a dance competition podcast. Each week, we'll cover a different topic related to the world of competitive dance from the perspective of the judges behind the table. The 2024 competition season is almost over, and we are so sad to see it go. Today on Making the Impact, we're taking a look back at this wonderful season with some of our IDA judges to reflect on all the things we loved, hated, and want to see more of in 2025.
Hey Dance World, welcome to this week's episode of Making the Impact. I'm your host, Courtney Ortiz, and I'm here with my co-host, Lesley Mealor.
Hey Courtney, how is it possible that this is our last episode?
It's our last episode of season 5, and I can't believe it's already over. It goes by so fast.
It really does. It's like somehow so fast and so slow at the same time. But as I look back over all of this season, I mean, we've really come a long way since September and had so many amazing guests and so many great judges come on. And we're just excited today to look back at the season with some of our IDA judges and tell you some of the things that we loved and hated and want to see more of.
Yeah, it was a wonderful 2024 season, and I know that you went out judging. I was out judging pretty much every weekend. We had so many IDA judges out at all different competition events, IDA affiliated and non, and they have some things to share that they've seen this season. So we're going to hear all about their takeaways from judging at comp in 2024. But before we jump into our final episode of season 5, we have some more recent Making the Impact award winners that we want to share with you. So as you all have heard all season long, we sponsor a fabulous award at all IDA affiliated competition events called the Making the Impact Judges' Choice Award. And this is given out to one dance through the entire weekend that your IDA judges hand select and want to recognize for making an impact in the competitive dance world. Whether it's through their choreography, execution, technique, performance, they want to recognize you. They receive a special award on site from the judges and also will get a shout out on Making the Impact. So let's hear our very first winner.
From World Class Talent Experiences event in Sanford, Maine, congrats to Dance Studio of Maine from Gorham, Maine, and dancer Addison V for their solo Mercy.
From Streets Dance Conventions event in Orlando, Florida, congrats to Orlando International School of Dance from Orlando, Florida for their small group ballet dance, Swanilda Friends.
And from World Class Talent Experiences event in Worcester, Massachusetts, congrats to Shannon O'Brien School of Dance from Attleboro, Massachusetts for their small group, The Village.
Congrats to all of our recent winners, and a few more winners are coming your way in our Season 5 wrap-up episode, which is immediately following this one. So don't forget to hit next and give a listen to that after you finish this one.
And before we jump into our episode, here's a word from our sponsors.
We all know the struggle is real when it comes to getting stage ready for competition, especially when it's time to apply your eyelashes. We've all been there, myself included. But guess what? I've got the ultimate hack just for you. Lily Lashes to the rescue. They offer a variety of styles that suit every dancer's needs. Lily Lashes are top quality, conform to the shape of your eye, and they are available with sheer transparent lash line bands or black lash line bands to resemble eyeliner. They have half lashes called butterflies that are a great accent lash and are ideal for smaller eyes with no trimming required. Perfect for young dancers. Every Lily Lash is multidimensional, which gives an elevated look under stage lights and shows up beautifully in pictures. They truly are so much better than those drugstore lashes. Oh, and did I mention they're reusable? That's right. You can simply tuck them back into their box until your next performance and reuse them again and again. I've been wearing my Lily Lashes while teaching at convention and absolutely love the way they make my eyes pop on stage. With so many styles and options, check out Lily Lashes now to enhance your stage makeup for your next performance. And we're happy to share with you an exclusive podcast promo code to try them out with a discount. Use the coupon code IMPACT20 in all caps at checkout to receive 20% off your order. That's IMPACT20 in all caps at checkout on lilylashes.com. Francisco Gala Dance Works is our Season 5 premier sponsor. Hey parents, I have a few questions for you. Does your dancer want to have a career in dance post-high school graduation? Are you already stressed about the upcoming college application process? Should your dancer get a BFA in dance or pursue a degree in another field? You can have all of these questions answered by attending an upcoming virtual college prep workshop with Francisco Gala Dance Works. Let them help you and your dancer discover the best school options and programs that will check off all of the boxes in your desired college experience. Auditions and applications can get overwhelming, but Francisco Gala Dance Works College Prep Workshop will help break down the process for you into easy, manageable steps. Register now for an upcoming virtual seminar and save by using our exclusive podcast promo code. Use the code MAKINGTHEIMPACT in all caps when registering for your workshop to save $75. Click the link in our show notes to register now and learn more about all of Francisco Gala Dance Works programs on their website at franciscogaladance.com. So let's jump into this takeaway episode. Thank you to all of the judges who helped contribute to this episode. You're going to hear some familiar voices, and you're going to hear some new voices who have yet to be on our podcast, but are some fantastic judges who have been working their booties off all season. They've been traveling everywhere, all across the country, judging your dancers. And we definitely have some new takeaways, maybe some takeaways that you've heard from our last episode in season 4 in 2023, because things definitely roll over, but there's always new trends. There's always new things that we discover and see that are new in the industry each year and somehow become a trend in the competition world that you might think feels regional, but is actually national. So these are some of the things that your judges have noticed throughout the season. And the very first thing we're going to start with is talking about music at competition. So let's hear from our very first judge.
Hi, this is IDA Judge Brenda from Northern California. And I think one of my favorite things that popped up this competition season was the use of older music, interesting music. I feel like in the last few years, and we still hear a lot of the same songs, but I feel like it's less. And I really applaud the teachers, choreographers, who are going out of their way and finding music from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, from every decade. Lots of Etta James, Otis Redding, just really fantastic music choices that are exciting and lively. And I think it has made this season so much more interesting and not hearing all of the same songs over and over. So I applaud everybody for their awesome music choices and also educating the children on such fantastic music that is out there.
Hello, this is IDA Judge Ashley Peter from New York City. And one thing I have loved this competition season is all of the 60s inspired dances that I've seen. And it's been really creative. It hasn't just been dances with, the dances of the era and the moves from the era. It's been like really creative fusion of new choreography and concepts mixed with the classic music and costuming that we love. I've seen it in solos. I've seen it in small groups. I've seen it in, some really big groups, some lines, things like that. And it's just one of my favorite decades. And it's been so fun to see all of these young kids really getting into the 60s. So that has definitely been one of my favorite trends from this season.
It's so great that choreographers are being influenced by some different music choices through the decades, because then it does influence how we choreograph. And hopefully doing the research to know what types of movement were popular back in that genre when this music was created, and different dance styles, and staying true to that decade, but also putting a new little spin on it and putting a new little flavor to it for 2024. So I do think it's really great. I have been seeing a lot of 60s as well, Ashley, and I have been seeing some really great songs that I haven't heard before that are then spun in a different way. Like, I love when I hear those 40s songs come out and then it's like a cool, unique contemporary. And I'm like, oh, this is cool, because it feels like old school meets new school. We're putting this new style of movement onto this song that you might not necessarily think could pair together. But a lot of times these dancers can make these songs come to life in a new vision. And also shout out to the choreographers who are making that possible, and even challenging their dancers and themselves to choreograph to a different variety of songs. So I'm all here for it. I love the different types of music choices that we're discovering.
Cool. Let's keep going. I'm already having such a great time.
Well, I know, right? And I think where we should go next is we should talk about some of the costuming, I think, that is happening in the
Music
competition
and costumes
world.
go hand in hand.
And IDA Judge Ashley, she's back. She has a lot to say on this episode, and she has really great points to bring up. So let's hear what Ashley has to say, and we'll see if we have any other judges that are chiming in as well.
Hello, this is IDA Judge Ashley Peter from New York City. And one thing I've loved this season is all of the really cool costuming and tops that I've seen paired with gloves, either attached or just the 3/4 long gloves. But it's not kind of in just a typical way that we've seen. I feel like I've seen a lot of really creative, just different, cuts in the costuming. And what I loved also with that was a lot of these choreographers have been really thoughtful with the choreography and the shapes and the visuals that they wanted to make to pair with these really cool tops and gloves. And then along with that, because, as we're adjudicating, we're saying, oh, you've got these gloves on, it's drawing attention to your wrists and your elbows. And I talk about articulation through the hands and the backs of the hands a lot. And I felt like I really saw some really clean, precise dances. And I so appreciated these cool, crisp, clean lines that were created with these really creative costumes and gloves.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know, it might be a trend this year, but I definitely have seen a lot of gloves on stage, whether they're little wrist gloves, long gloves. I've even seen this definitely has to be a trend coming from somewhere, but hands that were painted this season.
Yeah.
Everyone paints their hands and then it looks like a glove, but it's not. It's your hand. I don't know what that's all about, but we're highlighting the hands and the fingers in our costuming at competition.
Well, good. Well, like she said, it does draw our attention. But when it's done well, and when you are articulating your hands and extending the line, adding a glove just adds to that beautiful visual. And I can't say that I've seen that myself, but what I do appreciate about her comment about costuming helping with the choreography and creating visuals, I don't do well with that. I don't do that very well. In my opinion, I could do better. And so I am always very blown away when people have that full entire vision that the costume really contributes to the movement, because I just don't think that way. And so when people do think that way, I'm always so impressed. So yeah. Good for y'all out there.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of gloves when they're done right. I do think that they can really enhance the look of the costume, especially if it's, if the style needs it or if the type of movement quality needs the look of the glove. But I do think it is important to remember and remind dancers that if you are wearing a glove, again, like I mentioned, you are putting a highlight and a feature onto your finger. So your handography has to be extremely perfect and specific. You can't get away with many things when you have a red glove on with an all black costume, because those red gloves are going to pop. So if you're not giving a strong jazz hand, or if your wrist is broken when it's not supposed to be, or little tiny details of even down to the fingertips in a glove line is going to be make or break. So as long as you have clean, specific hands and fingers in your execution, then wearing gloves is great. And the other thing I want to mention about gloves is that when it comes to acroing gloves, because a lot of times people are like, we have gloves for our costume, but how do we not slip on stage with our gloves on? My response to that is you either lose the gloves or you lose the acro. But if you're wearing a glove and it's becoming a safety hazard or it's dangerous to the execution of your skills, then we don't wear the glove. To me, it's I like the glove and it might make the look really great, but you also have to think about safety. And one of the best, I've heard people doing little dots on their hands, little glue dots.
Hot glue dots.
Glue dots, which I don't know if that works because I've never done that. Maybe it does. But I also think that if you want the look of the glove without having the hand covered, you can get those the little elastic goes over the middle finger and it
does have a name.
Yeah, what are they called? They're forearm gloves, but the hand is
They were very
exposed.
popular in the 80s.
Yeah. And I think that still gives the look presentationally of what we're trying to go for, but it allows your hands to have the grip it needs for acro. So there's always a way to make it work, but no matter what, if you're wearing gloves, make sure it's super safe. You're able to execute everything that you practice with your gloves on as well. And I think that could be a really great resource for rehearsal. So your teacher can really see what it looks like when you have a bright red glove on if the dancers aren't executing that fingertip execution nice and strong.
Yeah. And, put your rubber band at the end of it or use your body glue. Or that's, a big pet peeve of mine is if you have a cool accessory and it's slipping or falling or just the the spats for your shoes. Like those are notorious for just not staying on. So make sure it's been practiced in before because they can be very effective if they stay on.
Totally. All right, let's hear what our next judge has to say.
Hi, this is Marissa Anderson from New York. How is everybody doing? I hope you had a great season. I would like to comment on the costuming actually for this season. I saw in smaller competitions, like less known competitions, that dancers were wearing a little bit more modest costuming, a little bit less like flashy and glamorous and sequiny. And the big competitions, the more well-known competitions, I saw dancers' costumes almost like pushing the envelope and being a lot more revealing. I found that interesting. I think that the smaller competitions, studio owners are really listening to their parents. They're really listening to the idea that, you know, these are children at the end of the day, and costuming them appropriately is in their best interest. The revealing costumes that I have seen this season, specifically at the larger, more well-known competitions where you're going to get those more advanced dancers, does that go hand in hand? Can these more advanced dancers push the envelope a little bit more? And then are they pushing the envelope just to get noticed? Are they pushing just to make a statement and stand out? What gives them license to wear something that is a slightly inappropriate, and just because they are more at an advanced level and competing at a different level than dancers? I just thought it was interesting that that correlation exists between dancers who are more advanced and their costuming being more on the inappropriate side. I also just want to follow up on my comment from my first recording that I think the costuming is reflecting more of a simplicity vibe. And I appreciate that because I think the simpler the costume, you know, more pulled back, the more we can actually focus on the choreography, the more we can see the artistry of the movement of the dancer. And I think that's really important and something that is becoming more of a trend, especially in 2024. We're seeing people really think more cerebrally about their choreography, about their storytelling, rather than the pageantry of costuming and rhinestones and glitter. Not that that doesn't have a place anymore in our competitions. I just think they're thinking a little bit more about their storytelling and their message.
Thank you, Marissa. I'm also interested and find it interesting and agree that at least from my perspective and also looking at social media perspectives and things like that, like your big guns out there, your big name competitions do attract a higher level of talent oftentimes. And with that, there sometimes comes a more mature outlook on what dance is and competitive dance is, especially at the higher levels and the higher ages. However, sometimes it is a little shocking. You know, sometimes on social media, there's a certain social media account of a very big dance competition out there that every single thing I see, I'm like, is she really wearing that? Is that really what this person has on? And I don't know, it's very interesting to see. But I also agree that sometimes your smaller competitions, you know, are dealing with smaller studios, newer studios, more conservative studios, because like she said, the parents maybe are driving the decision making a little bit more because they're saying what they want, and the studio owner is allowing that to happen, which is perhaps going to a smaller competition, going to a more conservative competition. So it is an interesting thing to observe.
Yeah, I definitely agree on this from Marissa, and it is a very interesting observation. I almost think that the highly competitive advanced studios that are attending some of the higher level competitions feel like they're required to wear certain types of costuming to succeed because they see the others doing it. And even some of the newer dance studios and younger dance studios or smaller dance studios that are in the world as well are then looking up to those studios on social media or through their achievements or through their photos and seeing what they're wearing and thinking, again, is this what wins? And I think that the most important thing to remember is to be true to who you are and what you want out of this. I don't think that you need to be wearing practically nothing on stage to succeed at competition. However, we see it often. And granted that you can wear practically nothing. And what I mean by that is like just a leotard or a two-piece. with no tights, whatever. I mean, sometimes I've seen things that like barely covers everybody's bits and pieces on stage, and I'm nervous the whole time. But Marissa also brought up the fact that aesthetically, some of us are just wearing something basic and clean and plain so we can focus on the actual dancing that's happening. And there's not that costume that's getting in the way as a distraction, which I do like, something just like a clean leotard with,
I love it.
Like I think it looks great. And and also like props to dancers who are able and willing to wear a leotard on stage with no tights. Like, I mean, you couldn't pay me enough money. I've said it a million times, but like, y'all look amazing. I mean, it's truly beautiful up there under the stage lights and everything. You look amazing. And I give you all the props, but at the same time, there's costuming that we see that just is going a little bit too far when we think about that we're watching children. And like, do we need the thigh highs? Do we?
No,
I don't think we need the thigh. I don't think we need the garters. I don't think we need the thigh highs.
Chains. Like I've seen chains, like actual bondage almost.
I've definitely seen like bondage on stage, like leather,
don't do that.
But like done not in a tasteful way, like just it. You can, and then you pair that with the inappropriate type of movement that might exist.
Movement, winking. All the things.
Yeah.
It's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. So, it is interesting to see that what she noticed from judging different types of competitions. And I do think that different competitions attract different types of studios that might push the boundaries more than others. Some, like you said, might be more conservative. So it is a real thing in our industry. And I don't know if that's good or bad. Like,
it's just a thing to observe.
Yeah. And you can't like predict who's going to show up either. So you as a conservative studio might have done your research and felt like what you've seen at the studio at this competition last year was aligned with how you want to attend an event. And then a studio might show up that's completely opposite. You just never know.
Yeah. Can't control those things. All you can control is yourself.
Yep. All right. We have one more final costuming note.
Hello, this is IDA Judge Ashley Peter from New York City. And one trend I haven't loved this season is seeing the combination of tights with the pirouette turner shoes. I'm not a fan of those shoes in general, but they are not new. They've been around. Everyone wears them. I think that they hold the dancers back and they promote cycling with how they fit on the foot. And I appreciate that dancers are wearing tights, but if they're wearing a stirrup and then they have the shoe and then their heel is exposed, more often than not, those are all three different colors, right? Their skin tone, the color of the tight, and the color of the shoe. They're not usually all the same color. And even if they are, it's just bulky. It really cuts off the line. And if they have a full-footed tight on with the pirouette, then they're slipping all over the floor because their tight heel, the heel with the tight is exposed to the floor. And even with the stirrup, it causes the straps of the pirouette shoes to fall off. So I love that dancers are wearing tights. I would just love to see them either barefoot in a stirrup or in a shoe.
Yes, in a shoe, like a full shoe.
Yeah, the shoe, two shoes, two whole shoes.
Two whole shoes.
As your resident dance footwear person, turners are not meant to be worn with a footed tight. Just that, first of all, like they're meant to be worn so that your heel is exposed and out and able to be put down and not slide anywhere. That is the point. So please don't wear footed tights or convertible tights that are rolled down with your turners. The stirrup, I mean, I am on the same page as Ashley. I don't like the shoes. I appreciate the tights. I don't like the shoes. I don't like them together. Mm-hmm. However, if that is the choice, yes, your stirrup should be worn over the elastics of the turners to not only, help keep them on, but to continue to expose your heel. And yes, correct. All of it's very bulky. There's a lot of colors happening. I'm not a fan either. So I feel you, Ashley. I do.
Yeah, I think it's a tough situation because there's studios out there who want to train in turners but want their kids in tights, and it's just like, how do we do both successfully?
Yeah,
and
you don't.
Again, exactly. I don't think there's really a way to do it because the turners are a part of our dance world now, but they weren't originally. They were designed for gymnasts. They come from the rhythmic gymnastics world. And do you see gymnasts wearing tights? Absolutely, they do not. So that's why it works for them. Now here we are as dancers trying to allow them into our space, but we still want to wear tights. And I think that is that could partially be why a lot of people stopped wearing tights, because they want to wear these turners that you don't wear tights with. But
Right.
if you are a studio that wants to wear tights, but you want to also, put your dancer in a shoe of some sort and not be barefoot in a stirrup, then I would say a jazz shoe would be perfectly fine to wear with your tights in a lyrical dance.
Yeah, 100%. Agreed.
Like a jazz shoe is classic. They are not going anywhere. Dancers need to know how to dance in them. I don't understand why we need our heel out anyway. Like, just put the darn shoe on and dance. It's giving you all the same purpose as what a turner would do, but it looks better. It presentationally looks better. And it's going to allow your dancers to turn and articulate through their feet. Their feet are going to look better.
And they last longer. I mean, the biggest complaint I hear from everybody who puts their dancers in a turner is that those shoes don't last. And I don't care what brand it is. And I'm not here to tell you my brand is better than this brand, because in my opinion, the construction of that kind of shoe generally, you're going to bust through them because they have to be tight. They are meant to be tight. You cannot buy that shoe a size too big to grow into it because it will fall off. So of course your toe is popping through it. So if you also, here's another plug for a jazz shoe in lyrical, put your jazz shoe on because it's going to last longer. You can get away with a jazz shoe not being skin tight because they're meant to give you a little bit of room to move. So there's my plug.
I love
and you
that.
can wear tights with them.
Exactly. The best of both worlds. And
Yes.
Speaking of jazz shoes, let's hear what Miranda has to say about jazz dance.
Ooh.
Hi, this is IDA Judge Miranda from Buffalo, New York. One thing that stuck out to me about this competition season is that strong jazz is back. Everything from powerful music choices to strong costuming to clean lines and unique choreography. I absolutely have loved being able to see jazz dance come back the way that I always remember it. Strong, clean, and full of power.
Yes, for jazz dance. It's alive and well in the dance competition world.
I love that. I also have to agree. The events that I was judging this year, I did see a lot of good jazz, more so than I feel like I have in the past. I think there's been some really interesting social media dance that's been happening in the industry that I think people are just gravitating towards because it's a little more jazzy than other things that may have been popular in the past that have gone viral. So I think maybe that is kind of having a little bit of an influence on what genres people are gravitating towards. And yay, jazz. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, y'all know I love me some jazz dance over here, and I'm always excited when I see actual jazz dance happening on the stage. So thank you to all of the studios who are bringing real jazz back, and shout out to all of the amazing choreographers out there who are making it happen. One thing I will say, though, about the real jazz, and this isn't like a knock to anybody, but I do think that there's a lot of studios who are being heavily influenced by particular jazz choreographers in this new wave of jazz dance that's existing now for competition, where it almost feels like they're ripping them off. And while we absolutely can be inspired by one another and influenced by what we see on social media and other studios and other choreographers at conventions and in the industry, that's the point. That's why this dance world is so beautiful. There have been times where I'm sitting at the judges table and I'm just feeling like this feels like a ripoff versus an inspiration. So I do think that it's important for people to still remember to know who you are as a choreographer and not feel like that we have to completely replicate other studios' choreography. And that can go across the board for all, but I'm specifically, for me, talking about things that I have seen in the jazz category where I'm like, I love what's happening here, but this feels like a complete rip-off of XYZ choreographer. Instead of, this was so innovative and so cool, and I saw this classic foundational jazz here and there, and I loved it, and yay, yay, yay. Sometimes I've been like, oh, I feel like I've already seen this exact dance on Instagram before. And it says that it's choreographed by a studio teacher and not the choreographer who I'm thinking of. So just keep that in mind with all of our things as we go into next season, to absolutely be inspired, but don't try to replicate too much. It's important to remember that. Have your own voice in this world. All right, and let's hear from our next IDA judge to see what they have to share.
Hey, this is IDA Judge Maddie from Tampa, Florida. And something that I've noticed is that front aerials have kind of become the new staple in every dance. And first of all, I want to remind dancers that you don't need to do a front aerial in order to win, although it is a lovely skill. And second, if you're going to do a front aerial or a front walkover, any sort of acrobatic skill that moves forward in space, you have to bring your arms with you. So think like you're on a hamster wheel. Swing your fingertips back up and forward. Allow your shoulders to come back to neutral. It's going to make it a lot easier if you follow through. And it's also going to be a lot more complete for your viewers and your judges as we're watching you. And this is a trend that I've noticed that applies to teachers, that a lot of dancers are only doing their skills, especially their leg holds, their batmas, their extensions on one side, and it's usually the right side. And if you only do one or two throughout the piece, it's not super noticeable. But when dancers are putting their same leg up into the same line 14 times in the span of 2 minutes, and that is not an exaggeration, I've counted before, it gets a little bit old, and it doesn't show that you're working effectively in the classroom and in your training. So let's challenge our dancers to do their skills on both sides. Maybe they do a triple pirouette on their right and a double pirouette on their left at some point. Let's make sure that we're building equal strength on both sides, even though we will obviously favor one side over the other.
Cool. We love Maddie. Maddie, thank you so much for these insights. And yeah, I mean, I feel like the aerial thing does feel new. Like people have been doing front aerials for a long time, but only recently have I noticed it start to become, I'm less impressed because more people can do them. And I know that doesn't have to do, right. It's like, I feel bad because it doesn't have to do with you as the individual. You, the individual dancer, if you got your front aerial, that is impressive. It is amazing. That is a very challenging skill. Go you. However, if 25 dancers can do it and only 4 used to be able to do it, now me as a judge seeing 25 of you do it, it's like, okay, well now I guess everybody does this. Like it's not as impressive to the viewer if you're constantly viewing the same thing. So I definitely see her point there. And you also, again, if you can't do a front aerial, you could still win a dance competition. You just have to be better than the girl who can do the front aerial.
Hey dancers, are you in high school? Have you thought about what you want to do with your dance career after you graduate? Is college on your radar? If so, then you'll definitely want to take advantage of Francisco Gala Dance Works College Dance and Career Prep virtual workshops. Get prepared now for a grueling admissions process, even if you still have years to prepare. Getting into your dream school and finding the dream job of your future can feel overwhelming, but don't worry. Francisco Gala Dance Works College Dance and Career Prep is ready to help you break down the process into easy to understand, manageable steps. Receive guidance and support from experts to help you nail that college audition and prepare a stellar portfolio for your application. Register now for an upcoming Fall 2023 Virtual College Prep Workshop and save $75 from your registration by using our exclusive podcast promo code. Use the code Making the Impact in all caps when registering on their website at franciscogaladance.com. Learn more about Francisco Gala Dance Works programs and seminars by clicking the link in our show notes or visiting their website now. Thank you to Francisco Gala Dance Works for being our Season 5 premier sponsor. Yeah, I mean, I like front aerials. I don't love front aerials. I like them when they're done well. Mm-hmm. I don't need them in every dance. I will say they're most of the time, they're very awkward and unnecessary. Unless they're in like a perfect crash bang boom in the music, it doesn't make sense to me. Or if like a dancer pulls it out of nowhere and it's a surprise and lands it so soft, the same softness that they have with the Soda Shaw and they're landing a front aerial that soft, then I'm impressed. And most likely their legs are straight and their feet are pointed if they're landing it that clean.
And their arms followed through like on the hamster wheel.
Yes, I need the follow through of the arms. It is such a huge distraction. And it's something actually that I didn't grow up doing front aerials, but I definitely did a little bit of tumbling and always making sure the arms followed through and finished up was like also for safety purposes and bringing your back up in alignment. Like the amount of times I see dancers do front aerials and their arms are down by their sides and their backs get stuck upside down.
Somehow they're back there. And all I can think of is like, how are you getting out of that?
Yeah, like you need to use your arms to help you up out of it, the momentum of your arms, and they get stuck back there. And then the weight distribution of the landing becomes dangerous because the momentum isn't continuing forward. It gets trapped, and then that could be really damaging to the knees. Like, all about it. It's just, and it doesn't look safe. Like, it doesn't look better when you have your arms by your side. I just want to let everybody know. Because if you are doing the front aerial to like pull focus in a good way to highlight it, then bringing arms up will actually make my eye go to you versus you just being stuck upside down in like an awkward position. So even just the technical execution of the front aerial, if we're going to do it, I want to see it done cleaner and safer because it is a very high impact skill that can become very dangerous really quickly.
100%. And to touch on her other point, the one-sidedness.
Oh, gosh,
and we've been seeing one-sidedness
Forever.
since there was a dance competition.
Correct.
I mean, of course, we all prefer one side, but I think it's the choreographer's job to make sure there's versatility being showcased.
Yep.
And sure, maybe your left side does not do what your right side does, but what does your left side do?
Right.
Can you give me something? Give me something. Because if all I'm seeing is your right leg, like she said, it's a little tiresome and it's a little boring. So
it's predictable. It's boring. It's the same thing as the one shoe. We know you're only going to turn on that side. Like I want to know that you can do more than just one thing. I want to know that you are training both sides equally. And like you said, that's a knock to the choreographer. The dancer's just doing what they're taught. And the dancer's probably going to try to defend themselves in choreography rehearsal and say, but that's my bad side. Why are you making me do my bad side in my solo? Because the judges care. Okay, the judges care. I don't want to see you lift your leg 15 times like Maddie said. I don't care if it's an attitude. I don't care if it's a penche. I don't care if it's side extension. If it's the same leg every time, it becomes predictable and boring. I want to see the versatility. When I see a dancer get their leg to their ear in an extension on the right and then show me their left, even if it's not equally as high, I'm still excited. Because you're showing me that you are training both sides and you're working on your left as well. And it's not just a forgotten about thing. It is something I comment on so frequently as the teacher judge on the microphone when I am the teacher judge. I will say it every time. And I will then be distracted at having to count how many times you've lifted your leg to just prove a point to the teacher that we shouldn't be doing just one side.
Right. And also, I mean, sure, if you have a dancer whose legs are their strong suit, everybody knows that dancer who's like, here's my leg, my leg. Okay, well, so you've done it twice and now I get it. So can she turn?
Right.
Can they leap? Can they do a really sassy pose? Like, what else can they do? Because now I know they can do that.
Right.
And like, it's kind of beating a dead horse if you keep showing me that, but you neglect to show me everything else. Even if that other thing isn't as good, I still need to know, can she do a double pirouette? Maybe she can't do a double. Can they do a single pirouette? Give me something, not just legs. Like, I just, again, disservice to the dancer by the choreographer if you're not trying to showcase at least a little peppering of everything,
Totally. And let's hear one more thought from our next IDA judge.
This is IDA Judge Jessica Olnick from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Dancers and choreographers, let's push the boundaries of creativity in our movement and turns. While impressive turns are captivating, let's explore new ways to showcase our strengths. It's important to recognize that relying solely on one set of impressive turns in every routine can also become very unimpressive over time to judges. Dancers need to be consistently challenged and pushed to evolve in their careers. That's our job, you guys. Let's break away from the conventional and dare to be different, showcasing a diverse range of turns and steps that truly highlight our artistic depth and versatility. This not only keeps the art form dynamic, but also ensures that the dancers are consistently and constantly growing and expanding their artistic horizons.
Ooh, that goes hand in hand with what you were just talking about.
Yeah, Jess Olenek has been out this season. Like every weekend I see her social media and it's like, here I am going there. Here I am going. I think she probably judged every weekend. So she's seen a lot this season.
Yes.
And Jess is also a phenomenal educator who does push the boundaries and tries to, get things to be very versatile. So yeah, I mean, I agree specifically with the turn sequences because, I think we all rely on the things we do well because we do them well and you want to do the thing you do well more often than not. But I think the issue becomes, if that's all you can do, are you even going to try something else? I'd almost rather see if you have 3 solos and you do the same turn sequence in all 3 and they're all perfect. Well, I don't know. I'd rather see one of them, you try a whole different scenario, do it on the other side, do it in a different position, start it from a different position, something.
Yeah. And I think that goes hand in hand with, even group choreography and the dancers who are being featured or showcased throughout different group choreography in different genres. I've seen straight up formula dances where dancers that I already know, I can predict exactly what's going to happen. That dancer is going to do probably a scorpion. That dancer is going to do the front aerial because that's her signature. This dancer is going to do the turn sequence and do a skater turn into 8 pirouettes. And it's the same exact thing every time. It's always those dancers. It's always that feature, and it's always that skill. And it becomes
And all the
repetitive.
other dancers are in the pose in the back.
Right. And they're just, back in the back, doing whatever, doing their step touch. And it's becoming like a gimmick of this is what we think we need to succeed and win. And the first time you watch it, you're like, wow, that was an amazing turn. Wow, beautiful scorpion. Then the second time you see, okay, just saw you do that like 20 dances before in your jazz routine. Like, don't other people think that when they're watching it? Like, don't the dancers know? The dancers have to know. The parents have to know. So what is the studio
and don't
thinking?
think we don't notice.
We notice.
It's like I think people, and maybe this is true sometimes, and for some people, for some judges, but if I remember, especially something like that, even if it's been 20 numbers, I now know who your kids are. I have a thought in my head of who this group is, and I will remember because it was only 20 numbers ago that you did that scorpion in that same spot. You started that tumbling pass from that same spot at around the same time as the last dance. So like, sure, am I going to remember that 6 months from now? No, but it may have an effect on my immediate thought of your group, that group at the event that you're at, so I can also, I can understand the desire to make things kind of as easy as possible. If you're somebody who's having to choreograph 17 dances for the same group of kids, okay, well, it is easy to say, Sarah, you're going to come over here this time, just like you do in lyrical. You're going to come over here and you're going to do your scorpion. Well, okay, sure. I can have some sympathy for, your plight. However, give the kids some more credit, give yourself some more credit, even if you switch it to the other side of the stage. Do something a little bit different because, at this point, even if we're talking recreational dance, even if we're talking lower level, intermediate, smaller, newer competitions, whatever, the bar has been raised just in general in dance, period. We talk about that all the time. It's no longer in competitive dance, and even a recreational studio coming to a competition, that bar is still raised from what it was 10 years ago, from what it was 20 years ago. And it's maybe a minute raise, but it's still something that like there's expectations, and you might get scored according to those new expectations.
Totally. All right. Final choreography highlight from Amanda DiTullio.
Hey, podcast world. Amanda Nicole DiTullio from Virginia here. And something that I saw this season that I absolutely loved was more instances of concert style contemporary and modern dance, as well as theater jazz style routines. While every style of dance certainly has its place, in thinking about preparing dancers for the real world, it was exciting to see more teachers taking the initiative to put together routines that were truly concert style, ensemble focused routines with dynamics and textures and innovative storytelling over 3 instances of a la seconde turns, or dancers being on their heads more than on their feet outside of the acro category. On the flip side, I saw so many incredible theater jazz style routines, some of them appropriately in heels, where dancers were really truly giving us story-driven, dynamic routines. And I just want to encourage those teachers and dancers to keep doing what you're doing. It did not go unnoticed.
Aw, I love that. Love this from Amanda, because I definitely love when I see those concert style contemporaries at the stage, and I'm always a fan when I see stylized heels jazz dance hit the stage.
Same. That's great. I didn't see that from my perspective, but I didn't judge nearly as much as Amanda does and did this season. So I'm so stoked to hear that is happening around the country. And, it's just like you said, it's always interesting. I'm always interested. I'm always excited when that kind of style comes out because we don't see it very often. So maybe we'll see more of it.
Yeah, and I think that it's great that studios are challenging their dancers to train in those different styles of movement because, like she mentioned, that is those are both styles, like concert contemporary works and stylized classic theater jazz in heels. You will be doing that as a professional if you choose to move into that. So to already start bridging that gap of training dancer to pre-professional dancer, will just be an easier transition for dancers who do go to a college dance program or who do move to New York City and want to train at the professional studios, that they'll already have experience learning that and the foundational elements of those styles in the competition setting. So I'm so here for it and love that she has seen that at comp. It's so great. All right, we're heading into some technique talk, and Ashley Peters is back. They want to share some more technique things they've seen on stage this season. So let's hear what they have to say.
Hello, this is IDA Judge Ashley Peter from New York City. And one thing I have not loved this competition season is seeing a lot of these dancers and a lot of their pieces not preparing for a caisson in fifth position. And it's something that we've always seen, but I saw it so much more this season where it's almost becoming standard practice that we're not prepping in any sort of traditional position. So, and it typically is, the big caisson with the back leg and attitude, front leg straight, whether they're coming from the back over the right shoulder to do an ensemble croisé to the downstage left corner, or they're just facing the front. But it's not quite a fifth position. It's not quite a true parallel. So I would just really love to see these teachers and choreographers, whether it's contemporary, jazz, ballet, if they are doing an ensemble, and a lot of times I wouldn't even call it an ensemble because they're not going into fifth position. And one trend that I have not loved this season is dancers working with a constant open rib cage. It's very current and trendy right now from a lot of choreographers to have an open rib cage, but we want to make sure that we are teaching our dancers to come back to a neutral, so we have proper alignment. Because what I'm seeing is in a lot of this choreography, specifically jazz, the rib cage is constantly open, but we need to have a neutral spine so that when we do a rib isolation or a hip isolation, we can see what it does aesthetically for the dancer in the piece because it's coming from a neutral spine. And even if it was a piece where the ribs are constantly open, think like the Brian Friedman boom catwalk, that style of piece. But we have to make sure we're coming back to neutral, rib cage is closed, so that our center of alignment is over our center of gravity for our pirouettes and our jumps and our turns. But we don't want that style aesthetic to bleed into all of our other dances and be a constant throughout.
Hi, this is IDA Judge Maddie from Tampa, Florida. And something that I've noticed over the past few seasons and has gotten even more abundant this season is that dancers are only focused on their leg that is going up and they are not focusing on their supporting leg. Notice I didn't say working leg because in my opinion, the standing leg is the working leg because that is what sets you up for success. So whether you're doing a développé à la seconde, a leg hold, or you're stepping forward into an arabesque penché, if the gesture leg or the leg that's going up is turned out, the standing leg also needs to be turned out unless this is a choreographic choice, which we should probably only see if we're doing a distorted line at a very high skill level, maybe in the contemporary genre. So please turn out your standing leg and set yourselves up for success.
Oh, I love all of this so much.
Technique, it's my fave.
It's so real.
And I absolutely love listeners when just a little inside podcast, when we do these podcasts, we have like a little script that Courtney writes out and just gives a little blurb about which judge we're hearing from and the topic at hand. And on this last one from Maddie, in all caps, yelling, "Turn out your standing leg." I just read it and thought it was hilarious because we should yell about it more. Turn out your standing leg.
Oh my gosh, I yell about it so much in my jazz class. And in my jazz class throughout my entire season at Streets in the junior room, I only did across the floor. And one of the very things we did across the floor was a ball change side battement. And the ball change is in stepping forward in almost like a fourth position with your back heel off the floor in a pop force arch. We brush to à la seconde to our battement. I always will instruct the dancers, make sure we're leading with our heel. That front leg is turned out in our preparation, and it maintains its turnout when the leg goes up to battement. You are not allowed to then shift the standing leg to parallel when you push to releve. That is, we are setting up our preparation to support us in our supporting leg. And the amount of times that everyone would just think about the emphasis of the leg that's flying to their ear versus that bottom leg, it just shows me everything about their technique. And it's something that I see repetitively on the competition stage where I'm like, why is this not being enforced? It truly blows my mind. We shouldn't even have a 6 o'clock penché if your standing leg isn't turned out.
Right.
Like, what's going on?
And like she said, and like they kind of all said, Ashley and Maddie, this is not new. These are not new things. It's just that we continue to see them, so we must continue to call them out.
Right.
Because Yeah, I mean, of course, when you're teeny tiny and we're just trying to get your leg up, okay, like I'm going to allow a fair amount of let's figure out what you feel like you need to do to get your leg up there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're a bendy kid already, all you got to do is whack it up there and it's there. Okay, so now we know you can do that. Then you have to you got to pull back and you have to say, well, the way to do this correctly is this, that. You know, you have to go from the beginning and know that eventually, yeah, your leg's going to come up to your ear and everything else is going to be right. But, you know, just because you can get it up there and everything else is a mess, like, that's not the way to go, my friends, my little friends listening.
And that's the same with the Sisons that Ashley is talking about. The
Yes.
cleanliness
Oh my goodness.
of your positions. And again, going back to our preparations. The Sison, assemblée into the Sison. The assemblée is the
literally
prep.
to assemble. You must assemble your legs in the air in fifth position turned out, and then you land in fifth position turned out.
Yes.
And I would even be very generous and give you an assemblée in parallel.
Right.
I don't want it, but at least give me that. If you're not going to
Something.
give me turned out fifth position assemblée into a turned out Sison, at least give me parallel. I don't want that either, because then I'm assuming you're going to do some sort of parallel Sison,
Right.
which again, in the correct time and place, sure. But most of the time, that's not what you're trying to achieve, a turned out grand Sison,
Right.
which means you got to start from a turned out position, which again, I mean, I don't know what I've been seeing for the past 10 years with an assemblée that is not assembled. So you can't even call it an assemblée.
Right.
I don't know what to call it. What is the French word for you just landed somewhere?
Mystery position. That's what it's always a mystery position. And this is the same exact fight that I constantly am fighting with our preparations for pirouettes. Your prep needs to match the turn. I should know what type of pirouette you're about to do based on that prep that you showed me. And if it's in a mystery position, I have no idea what's to come. The same thing about the execution of your assemblée before your Sison. The preparation leading into every single skill and the finish is equally just as important as how high your jump is, how pointed your feet are, how stretched your legs are in the sky, and whatever jump you're choosing to do. But again, like the emphasis, I think, is getting lost on the cleanliness of the details, on the ins and outs of things. And that's where these mystery assemblée positions are existing for Sisons, because
If anybody speaks French out there better than I do, please translate jumped and landed in a mystery position, because that's what I want. I want a word for that.
And I do want to briefly talk about the rib cage mention from Ashley, and it is something
Oh,
that I've
yeah,
seen
that too.
like crazy.
There's so many things to talk about.
There's
Yes.
so many things. It does seem like it's a trend, a stylistic trend with this rib cage thing, and it's
my back.
It hurts my back for it. It just improper posture and alignment, and lack of use of their core and abdominal strength. And then there's no support in their back, which is going to lead to back problems down the road. And honestly, it doesn't look good. I'm sorry.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't look flattering.
I'm trying every time I see people in those positions. And listen, one time, do your sassy walk with the rib cage. The end. That's it. But I don't want a whole 3 minutes of that. And that's what we get on very tiny, small people whose little bones and little backs can just do that.
Right.
Because they're not completely formed yet. And you're not even thinking about the front of the core and the supporting muscles in the back and everything. And like Courtney said, it doesn't look very good.
I don't love it.
It is only, for me, the reason to do that is when you are already an advanced dancer, you are adhering to a style, because that is a style. You don't see people walking around with turned in legs in all styles of dance. That is the Fosse style. It is applied to a Fosse piece or a piece in that vein. So maybe this open rib cage is going to be a style that we see in 40 years. But what I'm seeing now is it's applied to everything.
Right.
And it's not, I don't think it should be that. I think it should be somebody who knows how to get back to that neutral when it's appropriate, which is more often than not. It is more often appropriate to stay in a neutral spine, a neutral rib cage, than it is to be open and splayed.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example of the Fosse description with, you know, if people are aware of the Fosse style, it has a lot of breaking of the rules, a lot of breaking of the technique that you've learned. But you've learned that foundational technique first to then break those rules, to turn in the legs, to knock the knees, to bend the elbows, to flip the wrist, all those things. But you are coming into it neutral. And then
Right.
you make it, you create those shapes because you already know how to be neutral. If you're learning how to be wrong with a sway back and your ribs out and zero core activation, and that's what you're learning from the beginning, then we have a problem, because then that's all you're going to know. And you're not going to know how to get back to that neutral because it was never taught to you, because someone thinks that this is what it's supposed to be these days because this is trendy and cool. And again, it's different. There's a stylistic quality, and there is how to properly do a walk with your ribs closed and your core activated.
Right.
And your pelvis in proper alignment. Like, alignment is very crucial to dance, and protecting our bodies is important too. So if the style calls for it and you can show me that you know how to do both, then that's fine. But I don't think it should be the end all be all. This is how we do jazz walks these days, because it's not my favorite look, and I feel like it could be damaging to dancers' bodies down the road when we're sitting in that sway back position too frequently and letting the ribs just fly open 24/7.
Agreed.
Yeah. Technique, we gotta love it. And there's so many more things we can talk about with technique, but let's move on to some performance chat, because that's a big part of competition as well.
This is IDA Judge Jessica Olnick from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. At dance competitions, it's vital to remember that dancers are judged on the entirety of their performance. While technical skills are very important, the true artistry and impact of a dance lie in the hands of the dancers on stage. This season, I observed several performances that fell flat, possibly due to the lack of connection to the music, audience, or emotional depth. Dancers should strive to embody the character and emotion of their piece fully, ensuring that every movement is deliberate and every expression is genuine. Guys, we really are looking for that authenticity in your movement and dancing. It's this commitment to the entire performance that can truly captivate judges and audiences alike. Keep digging for your artistry. You've got this. We believe in you.
Hello, this is IDA Judge Ashley Peter, and one trend I have not loved this season is the choreographed facial expressions. It's always something that we've seen, but I've seen it a lot more this season, specifically in studios that have a dance team style and aesthetic, which I love. I come from a dance team background, and I know that is something that is always part of that culture, but I have seen it to an extreme this season, to the point where I find it is distracting from oftentimes a very beautiful dancer. And a lot of times it's a lot of choreographed breaths, but it's not, which I love sometimes, but it's like every few counts, or like really wide O shapes with the mouth, where it just feels so extreme and it pulls away from the dancer's performance and authentic emotion. And it's as choreographed as their actual choreography. So I would just love to see that kind of toned down a little bit, and just the focus being on the dancer's authentic connection to their movement for their performance.
And it's so interesting to hear from both Jess and Ashley with kind of a very different but the same. Like we're actually looking for what's right in the middle. I don't want you to have a flat performance, but I don't want you to have choreographed facial expressions. I want that happy medium of genuine excitement to be on stage, genuine, expressions depending on the topic that you're dancing on. And I do think I've seen both, this season and for years, and it is hard to find that happy medium. And I think it's gotten even harder these days with so many dancers and young people just interacting more via social media rather than in person. I feel like that could possibly be hindering some ability to genuinely be able to physically express yourself with your face, because we're buried in our phones and you're not actually interacting face to face with somebody. So maybe there's even dancers out there who they don't actually know. They just really don't know what to do with their face because they haven't seen enough, in person, facial expressions of fear or sadness or loneliness or excitement or whatever it is we're trying to portray. If you haven't seen enough of it in person, how do you know what to do?
And I think that's a really interesting point. And it's something that's actually I've been seeing a lot in the Broadway professional theater world discussions happening, is the fact that right now a lot of Broadway shows are casting via self-tape. But when you think about it, as a performer on live stage, you're not in front of a camera. You're performing for an actual audience. It's live theater. It's live performance. It is very different than putting yourself in front of a camera and performing for a camera. There's very different ways to find that performance quality, and both filming yourself versus a stage performance, require two different types of performance quality from the actor or the dancer on the other end. So I think that that could be an interesting correlation there with the world we live in now that is so heavily focused on being on your screen or performing on your screen, and not understanding how to translate that type of performance and how it may vary and be different to a live stage performance, and incorporating that into a competition performance. Because I've seen the dancers who will turn it on for TikTok and give all the facial expressions and feel comfortable and confident and be completely different performers when they go out on stage on a live theater performance. Yeah. And to me, I'm like, well, I saw you in that video killing it, so why can't you do it on stage? And it is very different, but also, like, if you can do it there, you can do it here. You just have to find that, maturity and connection. And it's a little bit more raw and authentic when you get on stage versus,
oh, totally,
I can take 1,000 takes until I feel like my face looks perfect in this video. Yeah. It's very different.
Well, and when you're thinking of, performing for a camera or a phone versus a huge audience, you have to be bigger. Your facial expressions have to be bigger to be conveyed. And even now, it's like, podcast listeners, Courtney and I are recording this on Zoom, so I can see Courtney's face. But as we all probably remember, and as we all know just from, anytime you're doing FaceTime, I'm looking at myself. I try to bring my eyes up to look at Courtney because I'm like, I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, I need to focus on her. She's talking. But your eyes automatically gravitate towards yourself. And I'm critiquing every single thing I'm doing with my face. And so I think there's definitely something there in the dance world of, now we're so glued to electronics and everything that, like, maybe I'm afraid to make faces because I've looked at my own face so much and I don't like what I see. I don't like, I didn't realize I look like that when I make this face. And then you're just, people are maybe trying to keep their face neutral on purpose. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting study to do.
I have 4 important words for you. No more lash glue. Lily Lashes is the leading prestige lash brand, and they just launched a new type of eyelash that I feel will be making an impact in the industry. Introducing their new 3D foam ink reusable self-adhesive lash that has a sticky band and stays put by using your own body heat for over 12 hours. You'll never have to wait for that lash glue to dry ever again. These are the easiest lashes to apply and can be repositioned during application until you get them just right. Lily Lashes come in a variety of shapes, styles, and sizes, so you can find that perfect lash that works best for you. I've loved wearing the self-adhesive lashes, and my favorite style is called the Trendsetter. With just a little bit of trimming required to fit my eye shape, they were quick and easy to put on before I hit the stage and stayed put all day. Head to their website to view all of their eyelash options at lilylashes.com. And there's a special discount code just for our podcast listeners. Use the code IMPACT20 in all caps at checkout to receive 20% off your order of your new Lily Lashes. Get stage ready and make your eyes pop with Lily Lashes. Yeah, it is. And I think what you said is really valid about finding that happy medium, because I am not a huge fan of the choreographed facials, and I don't love when it feels too over the top either. When it doesn't feel genuine and it doesn't feel authentic. If it just looks like another choreographed, you can rehearse your routine till perfection. But if the facial expressions are also rehearsed to perfection, it feels unauthentic. So it's a hard thing to teach dancers, and I'm not quite sure. I think that the most important thing is just getting the dancers all on the same page to understand the intention and the purpose behind the piece that they're dancing about, and to try to dig to find, and even just sitting down and talking about descriptive words and feelings that we should feel, and what does that mean to you, and how does that affect the way you move, and incorporating it that way versus saying, now you're going to make a kissy face here and you're going to make the O face here and you're going to raise your eyebrows on this beat. It's like, oh my gosh, this feels way too choreographed right now. And we can tell. Totally. We can tell.
We can. And I'm not opposed to like a cute little kissy face here and there from my babies.
Right.
Whatever. Or a cute ooh, like something, but let's not let that take over from just, I'd much rather see a great big old smile just the whole time.
Yes.
A genuine happy smile to be on stage.
All right, our final few things coming from our judges. And I think that these next few ones are really important to discuss because it's all about etiquette at the events. And that's a hot topic. So let's hear.
We love an etiquette rule.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear what our judges have to say.
Hi, everyone. This is IDA Judge Amanda Nicole DiTullio from Virginia. And one unfortunate thing that I noticed this season was particularly bad theater etiquette. While this is something we're always discussing in the dance competition community, I noticed a lot more instances of people entering and exiting the theater during routines, coming directly behind the judges' chairs while we're scoring, or even allowing children to come and play behind us while we're watching dances. Coaches and teachers peeking out of the wings so far they were practically on stage during other routines, and in one unfortunate instance, a fight almost breaking out in the back because parents were screaming too loudly. We know that these days are chaotic and stressful and things move quickly, but let's remember, we've all put a lot of hard work in to get to this point, and the only competition that should be happening is the one that's on the stage. Outside of that, let's all take a collective breath and remember to create an environment of respect and support so that we can all enjoy these very long days and be able to celebrate the amazing work of these dancers.
Hi, this is IDA Judge Jessica Olnick from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. At dance competitions and conventions, it is crucial for dancers and their families to show respect and consideration to event staffs. One common issue is the misuse of the teacher's row, which is often reserved for teachers and studio staff as they are running around the entire weekend trying to get their company and performers ready. It's important for parents and supporters to understand that this area is not for them, as it can disrupt the competition and be disrespectful to the staff. By adhering to the rules and guidelines set by the competition organizers, we can ensure a smoother and more respectful experience for everyone involved and keep our teachers and dance staff happy.
Y'all.
Oh, man.
I have so many thoughts, and I'm so glad that we brought up etiquette because the things that I'm witnessing.
We should do just an etiquette. I feel like we've done a few, but it's never in bad taste to talk about good etiquette.
We gotta talk about it more.
Man, yeah. I mean, and maybe we're preaching to the choir here on the podcast because a lot of our listeners have been listeners for a long time. A lot of our listeners, have been at their studios for a long time. And hopefully, I don't know all y'all. There's no way I could know all of y'all, but hopefully you are the choir. But the teacher row is the teacher row.
That's it.
Tell your parents, tell your friends, tell your grandmother, tell Aunt Sue who's coming to watch, everybody dance. Tell them, because don't sit there. It's not for you.
Even like the dancers, like I'll just see studios flood in and it'll like the dancers want to watch next to their teachers, but they'll sit in the teacher row just because it's empty. Just because it's empty doesn't mean another teacher doesn't want to come and sit there. Now you're taking up their spot. You are a dancer. I don't care if you're a student, teacher, or whatever. Sit on the ground, get in the row behind them, leave that space open. If you don't have a lanyard on and you can show me that you are a teacher, do not sit there. It is disrespectful and also like blatant filming, like crazy happening.
Blatant. Literally no one cares. No one cares anymore.
No one cares. It's so
They don't
rude.
care about rules. They don't care about being reprimanded. They don't care about the threat of, being kicked out. And it's shocking. And I don't understand it. I guess the only thing I can sort of compare it to is like people are used to going to their kids' t-ball game. You can do literally whatever you want at the t-ball field. You can walk around. You can be on the phone. You can have, you can feed your kids. You can have a phone call, whatever. You can't do that in a dance competition. Go do it in the lobby. Go do it in the parking lot. But you can't just walk around willy-nilly because it's not the same venue. But I think people are more used to that kind of venue where it is kind of a free-for-all and you can do whatever you want in the space. But, the space is usually a lot bigger. It's a lot louder, believe it or not. Like at a dance competition, yes, it's loud because the music is loud, but generally it's quiet because somebody's dancing and you're trying to be respectful of that. So, when people are being asked to not talk on the phone or to not enter and exit during the routine, it's because this venue is meant to be quieter for the respect of the art that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
The baseball field is not that.
Right.
It's a different scenario. So my only sort of thought is maybe that's what people are used to more if you're new to this and they just don't correlate that this isn't actually the same.
Yeah, and I think that it makes it really hard for competitions to police all of this 24/7. And if everyone just understands the etiquette from the beginning, and this needs to be conversations that are being had and reminded to the parents and talked about at the studios before even getting to an event, whether it's a convention or a competition, understanding the etiquette of the theater, because it is a theater and it's not a t-ball game. It is not a football game. And I know that some people are like, well, we should be able to cheer and we should be able to have sirens and all the things. And it's like, I mean, I like sometimes it depends on the style of dance. If it's like the production and everybody has, they want to cheer and whatever, but it can't be distracting. It can't be so loud where the judges can't focus and do their job. There's still some etiquette that needs to be happening, and we have to be respectful to everyone who's participating at the event. Even if you're sitting in the audience, clap for everyone. Don't just sit on your phones. There's dancers up there that are doing their best and deserve to have an audience member clap for them too. And the same thing applies. I say it all the time, even for the spectators in my classes at convention. If you're gonna sit around and pay to sit there, the least you can do is stay engaged and clap and support the dancers when it's groups, and not talk on your phones and not gossip with your friends on the sides. Like, be respectful to everyone, because that's my time to do my art up on stage, is teaching your dancers how to dance, and you are just chit-chatting and distracting my class. It is so disrespectful. A lot of things, and the filming really gets me. I can't believe it.
Yeah. No, and that's, again, I can only chalk it up to either people just truly not caring anymore about repercussions.
Yeah.
Or they really truly do not know that this is different than a t-ball game.
Right.
It is different. You're talking about copyright issues. You're talking about safety. You're talking about other people's children in potentially, revealing costumes. Like, it is a different beast entirely. And that is why we don't allow filming at the majority of these kinds of events in the competition setting. Convention, I'm sure they have different rules. There's different rules in place for that. But, I would say the majority of the competitive events that happen in this country, there's a rule that says you can't film.
Right.
And it's there for a reason. And, how often anybody actually follows through with a repercussion on that, I don't know. But I sure will tell you that it tires out your competition staff to have to constantly tell people to put your phone away. It tires out the event. It takes up time from the event. So, you're just working against yourself if you're a culprit of that. You're helping the day last longer.
Right.
If I'm having to take time to come tell you not to do this. Yep. So there you go.
Yeah, so many etiquette things that can continue to be discussed, and maybe we do need to add that into season 6 of Making the Impact, I think.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, our final two judges want to chime in and share some highlights that they've witnessed at the comp season this year in 2024.
Hi, this is IDA Judge Karen from Lake Zurich, Illinois, and a trend that I've really seen this year more than ever in the 2024 season is those older dancers really taking those younger dancers under their wings. It's been so neat, especially during award ceremonies, to see the older dancers really helping those younger dancers and creating this really cool team family atmosphere. And obviously it happens in the studio. So to see it on the stage or backstage or in the audience has been so wonderful to see. Thank you, teachers and studio directors and owners, for really educating all these dancers how important it is to support one another and to be that family. So excited to see what happens next year, and thank you for a wonderful season this year.
Hi, everyone. This is your IDA Judge, Debbie, from Auburn, California. This season has been super amazing, and as judges, we get the privilege of seeing dance in all regions, all the way across the United States. My takeaway from this season is that whether you come from a big studio or a small studio, whether you're the best dancer out there and you're winning all the awards, or you're still growing as a dancer, you have a place on that stage and you have a place in the dance world. So keep dancing, keep training, and let your light shine.
Oh, I love that.
Let your light shine. Well, yeah, I love that too. I think that's great. And, for all listen, I think the dance competition industry is so saturated. I think there's so many options for all kinds of dancers. If you want a small competition, we've got them. If you want a big one, we've got them. You want levels, we've got them. There's places for everyone here. And it may take some time to find that right place for you in your studio, but they exist. And, I think one thing to take away from Debbie's comment is to don't discount a smaller, newer competition. There's great ideas to be had everywhere. There's people who are doing this to make a difference and not make the money. I think there's some companies out there that are, and you can sort of tell, are just trying to take your money. And I think everybody out there knows, has had that experience in one point or another. But there really are some smaller companies out there that are trying to do things right, trying to further the education and the love of dance. Don't discount those smaller events or events that you might have never heard of, or an event that is new to your region. Try them out, because I think there's options out there for everyone.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I really love what Karen had to say of witnessing some of the older dancers at the studios taking the younger ones under their wing. And I think that it's a really cool observation, even as a judge, to see that if that's happening at award ceremonies and things like that, or even for support at competition in the audience or at convention. So that, it does say a lot that dancers should always remember that there's always eyes on you at all times, even once you've finished your dance. We do notice those acts of kindness, or maybe the opposite, backstage professionalism or lack thereof, or things like that on all sides of the dance world. Dressing room, backstage, on stage, off stage. We see you out there. And I think it's really great that Karen wanted to recognize those dancers for supporting their team, supporting their young ones, having the young ones look up to the older dancers. I know that that's probably real and alive in a lot of studio spaces. And it's just really nice to see that the teamwork come together, and creating a nice little dance family at these studios is really so great.
And as a judge, at some of the events, we are the ones handing out your awards. And I can't tell you the difference it makes when the little bitty dancers have an older buddy from their studio that is helping them say, oh, that was your number, go get the award, because they're little bitty. It's hard, it's scary, it's bright, it's loud. There's a lot to remember. So if you don't already sort of have some kind of buddy system in place with your big kids and your little kids, or even truly your 8-year-olds and your 5-year-olds, even that kind of a spread, is going to be helpful for helping that tiny new dancer get up to the front of the stage to collect their award. Reminding them, hey, this is where we dance. When they ask you this is where we dance. Let them take some responsibility for helping the little ones, because it does make our job as judges and the staff, it makes it that much easier for us to again, get the show on the road. It takes a team, and everybody on that stage is part of the team.
Yes, they are. And that also goes to all of the team members on the competition as well. So I want to give a quick shout out to everyone who makes these competitions possible, from the judges to the staff to the competition owners to the studios out there, everyone, to the choreographers, the dancers, the parents, everyone. There are so many moving parts to make a dance competition weekend possible. And we couldn't do it without each and every one of you. You all serve a very important role in this beautiful dance competition world. And we're so sad that the regional season is already complete, but nationals is coming right up for many of us. And if not, then the regional season will be here in about 6 months from now. Before we even know it, it'll be here with brand new dances and brand new competitions to attend in 2025. How crazy is that? We hope you enjoyed our final episode of Season 5, all about the 2024 competition takeaways from your judges. Special shout out to all of the IDA judges who helped contribute to this episode: Amanda D, Ashley P, Brenda, Debbie, Jess O, Karen, Maddie, Marissa, and Miranda. Thanks for being on the IDA team and all of your amazing work throughout the season.
Don't forget to follow Making the Impact on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and pretty much everywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you want more exclusive episodes, support our podcast by joining our Platinum Premium membership for only $5 a month. Subscribers receive free Making the Impact stickers, shout-outs live on the air, ad-free listening, and exclusive access to our Q&A episodes for members only. Join now at impactdanceadjudicators.com/platinum premium. We're headed directly into our wrap-up episode right after this, so don't go anywhere.
That's a wrap on Season 5 of Making the Impact. Thank you to all of the fans for continuing to listen year after year. We already can't wait for Season 6. Stay tuned, it's coming your way, launching on Thursday, September 4th, 2024. Wishing you a wonderful dance-filled summer.